Hi everyone, this is Anna and welcome back to Tea Time Tips, the career podcast for aspiring marketers in the UK. Today's episode is all about mentorship and how it can shape your career from your first job all the way to leadership or even starting your own company. And I'm really excited to be joined by Irene today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Anna, for inviting me. My name is Irene. I'm the founder and CEO of Sertie. Prior to Sertie, I had a corporate career of about 8 years and then jumped to entrepreneurship to build Sertie. And I will shortly tell you a bit more on what we are all about.
Yeah, amazing. You have a very interesting career from consulting and then joining like venture in the startup space and also like as a mentor. So I'm curious, when do you start your career? What do you think about mentorship?
Yes, of course. So when I started with my career, I didn't really know actually what mentorship was. It was indirectly introduced to me by my seniors that there is this particular person who can help you to better understand your career path, but also how to grow yourself professionally and personally as well. And so I think in my early stages of my career, I had this particular mentor who wasn't necessarily just my senior, but also my mentor, who gave me all the ins and outs around, like, okay, what it is to be a good consultant, because I started my career in consulting. And then over the years, while I was moving across different firms, I've been very lucky that I also got various mentors in that particular company and gave me the support that I needed at that point of time. So when I was going for promotion or when I was going through a different client work or program, etc., I've always had that support that to kind of grow myself. And I think that that's been very important.
It's amazing that you've had like support from a lot of people throughout your career. So what were the biggest lessons you learned early in your career that still guide you today?
Yes. The first thing is around likability and being easy to work with. That's been something that I carry on with myself, carry with my career, whether it's Sertie or the way I operate in life. I think it's so important that to be likable, that it is easy to work with, but also that you think for the opposite party, right? Whether you're selling something or whether you are building a partnership, etc. It's always around that. The second thing that has also kept me is around that commercial awareness. I think whether you're building your own business or whether you're in corporate, companies love the fact that you can think for them, like how do they actually make money or how can you contribute to them to make money. And then last but not least, I guess it's just, I think, being yourself, but also genuine and kind, right? I feel that that is a little bit overlooked at times when there's so much competition in the world. But I feel that if you're very genuine in your career or whether you're building a startup, like people see it and know it and they actually would want to help you. Yeah. I think that those three are probably the things that have carried with me.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So, what advice would you give to someone starting out in their career, looking to learn super fast from people around them?
Yeah, I would say to get mentors, to have mentors or to find mentors. And I always kind of combine or compare this a little bit around dating, right? Like mentors is not someone you find and then you say like, oh, this is the person that's going to be my mentor. You probably will have to have a few informal chats before you determine that this person can be your mentor. And it's a person you look up to professionally or personally, but also someone who may be able to challenge you at a different level that you didn't think before. Because sometimes it's also good to get someone who may not be the same as you are to tell you like, look, you're missing these particular skills, you're not doing this, your client facing skills are horrible, right? Like, or not professional enough, so do this. So having this particular person is not just giving you the insights to a particular career path or a journey that you may want to go for, but also allowing you to imitate that person a little bit. Because indirectly, when you are conversing with this person or hanging out with this person, this mentor, you are indirectly picking up the ways of behaving, right? And if you have picked that up over time, the more you actually have these conversations while you're in front of particular audience, you'll be acting like them. And I think that in your early stages of your career, you want to be that professional. You don't want to be that student. So picking up that energy, the ways of doing, the ways of talking, would really help an individual or as an early career grad there to, I say have a head start in a career. I think mentors definitely is one thing. The other things, as we all know, internships or extracurricular, etc., that's something that most of the students are doing anyway. I don't think necessarily that is setting you apart, but I feel that if you have different individuals that can guide you and get you that kind of push, I think that makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, one thing that comes up a lot when people talk about mentorship is that how it can help accelerate your career growth. So, how do mentors influence career growth, in your opinion?
Yeah, definitely mentors give you something that you didn't know before, and therefore allows you that to make better decisions, but also saving time as well, right? They have walked that path, they have seen the struggles, and they have faced them as well. And by actually telling you what they have experienced prior to you entering this path, you're able there to make more informed decisions, rather than you going your way out there, right, to do research or to plan your career journey in, based on assumptions. This is something that's evidence based, and I feel that a lot of students are overlooking this, right, because they think I have a lot of time, I'll just do ABC and I will get to D, but actually it's not. Like, life doesn't work that way. And these mentors can actually tell you that because they have walked that path. They can tell you potentially the areas of, you need to do a bit more on this side of things, like upskilling, for example, or this particular role, it didn't just happen like that. I had to do a lot of additional other courses, or work a lot on myself, my leadership, etc. So then you actually already know before you get into this role or journey that you have to do those things. And if you know it way before, then actually at that point of time, you will save a lot of time, if that makes sense. So let's say you were saying, I want to jump to another company in 6 months time, rather than actually, working towards your goal. If you know what it takes to get into that role that you want, you can work backwards. So you can actually already prepare yourself for that role, so that you're ready when you're going for that application, rather than just, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just applying to here and there, or I'll just do a bit of, ABC. That is perhaps not as strategic as getting that feedback from mentors.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, back to you, like, after consulting, you decided to move to like the startup space. So I wonder what motivated that shift.
Yes. So after consulting, I actually had a bit of time in venture capital as well. And so I've gotten the opportunity at that point of time to source deals out of Europe and UK, education technology propositions. The reason being for that is because I've always had a passion for education, or for learning outcomes in general. And while I was at consulting, I actually mentored many, many students, and also onboarded graduates as well, and had to kind of train them up to become ready. And that's where I realized that there's a huge market gap between university and industry. So while I was in venture capital, I had the opportunity to speak with so many great founders in the learning space alone. Now, I didn't think that was enough because, as I said, it's not really bridging that gap between university and industry. So after a bit of time in venture capital, I realized that to really make a difference, you have to be in that driving seat. You have to, build something that could make that difference. And so that's why I ended up, building Sertie, and with the proposition there to help students to, better land jobs, but also become more competitive and prepared.
Yeah, sounds amazing. So, I imagine that like the transition from working in a corporate environment to startups can be like quite a lot, and like just loads of differences there. So, did mentors play like any role in helping you in that transition?
That's a very great question. So actually, at first, I figured a lot of things on my own. I had advices actually in the journey to support me and to help me and to give me some guidance. Whether you call them mentor, you could call them as mentor, but at that point of time, I saw them more as advices. However, over time, while I was getting a bit more settled in my kind of founder's journey, if you like, I met incredible amount of people or startup founders who are way ahead, or not necessarily way ahead, but who have been in the journey for longer than I have been. They may have already raised Series A or Series B, etc. And I think that that's something that I've been very grateful for, that having met them, but also keeping in touch with them and them becoming my friends and then my mentor, is something super, super valuable. Because as a founder, you, again, similar to if you've been in corporate, right? You don't know what you don't know. And you're figuring things out. But if you actually have that insight already prior to building it or executing it, you will save time and money in this case. So yeah, I have met incredible amount of mentors. And they have been very dear to me, and in terms of, giving the feedback, not just on Sertie, but also personally. And sometimes also as a sounding board, there to double check, like, hey, am I going in the right direction, or is this actually the right thing to do? Because there's also a lot of self-doubt at times when it comes down to building the company and the team.
Yeah, I think ever since becoming a founder, I think your relationship with mentorship has also adapt and change as well. And yeah, it makes sense now that they're not just famous mentors; they're also your advisors, your peers. So also now that you're also a mentor, what motivated you to start mentoring other people?
I think it's the outcome for me, very much. The outcome, the results that we're getting out through mentorship. That's definitely what
Paying
we're
it
seeing.
forward.
Yeah, paying it forward for sure, the impact. And also seeing how someone who comes in don't necessarily have that confidence or the gaps in the current profile, and how you actually, through giving the recommendations, but also the work, that they have become a completely different other person. Give you a few examples. Some individuals that come in are super, super not confident, unfortunately, but other parts they've been doing very well. And it's just a bit of steering, giving you tools, giving the ways of working, right? The insights, that they're more informed and have a better kind of toolkit that they can bring forward whenever they go for an interview or whenever they go for networking. But we have also had individuals that are doing super well in all the other fronts, but something else is missing. And I think that if you can go from A to B or 0 to 1, and seeing them to or students in our case, to excel, that's just very, very satisfying. And the greatest thing is even when they go from 1 to 100, in that sense, where afterwards they take whatever they've learned from us, from Sertie, that they can bring it to their own kind of world, whatever they're doing independently. So that's definitely something that's been really motivating me and us.
Yeah, sounds amazing. So, what do you think young professionals underestimate about mentorship?
Yeah. A lot of individuals actually think it's just chit-chatting, right? Talking a bit about career, talking a bit about life, just a casual chat. It's not. If you really want to get something out of this, you really have to be strategic about it. Meaning you have to know what are your end goals. If the end goal is for you to enter a particular industry, then really think, what is something that I can find in books or in ChatGPT, or most likely you'll be able to find it, but what is so unique about this particular journey or industry or person that makes you then ultimately stand out and, to cultivate your own story. And so you have to be strategic about okay, what is the sessions that I'm going to do with this particular person? What is it that I want to learn more of? Is it their articulation skills? Is it their, storytelling? Is it their understanding about a specific niche that they bring to the company? And having all those kind of components, ultimately, if you're able to cultivate your own story, you can bring that forward to your particular interview. So yeah, underestimation is definitely the fact that it's not just a chit chat. There's an end goal to it, and also for the mentor to get to know you better. Some individuals actually think that I have a mentor chat, and this individual is going to refer me to a particular job or that particular open role. It's not going to be that case. I say this often because the mentors will need to know who you are, right? And it doesn't happen overnight that they're going to say, right, I have to chat today with this student, like, let me refer this person tomorrow. No, it's not. They really want to see at the long term who you are, and are you good enough, or are you trustworthy or so-called loyal, that if I put you forward, that you'll be sticking with us for a bit of time. There's no goal in terms of in a conversation, and that some individuals think that having a coffee chat means that you get directly a referral, but no, because these individuals really want to see who you are before they put you forward. And typically it doesn't happen just by one chat, actually over the course of like 6 or 9 months. So again, if you want to build up a relationship, you have to take time to really build up that and work backwards, as what we started off with. Like backwards meaning, if in 9 months' time the applications are opening up, you're not reaching out to a particular mentor or a particular individual 2 months before, because they are most likely just having a one-off chat. But if you're keeping it in such a way consistently, every 6 weeks, I have this conversation, I tell them what I've been up to, I follow their advice, they would be thinking, right, this person is legit, really interested. So yeah, I think that those are two main points around underestimation of mentorship.
Yeah, amazing. So what makes like a mentee stand out to you when they reach out to you?
Yes. First of all, a little bit kind of, okay, so how do they stand out? First of all, they have a good self-awareness around like where they are at this point of time. They have a sense of like humility, like humbleness, right? Like, I really want to learn from you. I also realize that I have things that are missing. And so ideally, if you have that time, that the student makes it convenient for the mentor, that they can have coffee chats at a time that's convenient for the mentor. And thirdly, it's like following up. So let's say you have had that first conversation and it went really well. You actually thank them for the time, even over an email afterwards, and ask them when is the right time for you to speak next. In that case, you build up that relationship, provided, of course, that both of you had a very good time, right? Because why, otherwise there's no point. But what really stands out is therefore that next follow-up to say like, in 6 weeks' time, can we have another chat? And then I will have some updates about what you have taught me to do, and actually showing that result as well. I haven't seen many. There's only a few that actually have done this, and for those individuals, I realize, I can tell like, okay, they really take the feedback too hard. I'm saying few in terms of that are not Sertie related, but Sertie related, obviously they do this as part of as part of their homework. But yeah, I think that really makes a difference, and that makes me also to remember them as well.
Yeah, amazing. So I think this is something like a lot of listeners might relate to. Reaching out to mentors can sometimes feel intimidating. So what do you think is like a mistake that people make when reaching out to mentors, and then how we can sort of approach these conversations?
Yeah, I love this question. I think that a lot of individuals are overthinking when they're reaching out to that particular individual. And overthinking, I mean that, it needs to be a perfect kind of text message there. Of course, you want to keep it professional, but there's a lot of things in their heads that sometimes as well stop individuals from actually reaching out. So the first thing is really to think like, look, I'm seeking for support. I am a great individual with all this kind of accomplishment, but at the same time, I still need to continue to learn. So that's what you convey in that message. And I think that if you actually portray or actually say that, look, my name is blah, blah, blah. I've recently completed this particular degree, and I'm really looking for additional support or insights into this particular industry, and was really wondering if you had a moment to have a quick chat. In that case, most of the individuals would actually answer. I don't think you should be too hung up on if individuals don't don't answer, because they don't remember, and you probably wouldn't remember anyway, like in 10 years time.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to ask you one final question. If you could go back to the start of your career, what advice would you give to yourself at that time?
Yes. It would definitely be around not overthinking. I feel that while I was at the start of my career, I was overthinking a lot of decisions. Also, a lot around my career journey, like if this, then that, or I was already making assumptions. I was building a lot of stories in my head. But actually, you don't know upon execution what the outcome is going to be. And if you have done the homework that you need to do in order to get in order for you to make the decision, then be it, because that was the decision you made with that information. And so now, at this point of time, when I think of 10 years ago, I don't even remember anymore why I was so worried about certain decisions that I had to make at that point of time. So everything will add up. The story that you're going to tell, or that you're telling yourself, most of the time is just something in your head. And by actually doing it, you'll be able to prove that it is actually different. Or most of the times it will be different, and therefore you need to pivot or adjust your journey accordingly as well. So yeah, less overthinking, just do it, and be confident and have trust in it.
Yeah, amazing. So without further ado, that brings us to the end of this episode of Tea Time Tips. A big thank you to Irene for joining us today and sharing such valuable insights. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this new episode. Don't forget to leave us a review and share this with a friend. Until next time.